Got it.
All right. All right. We are live now. This is Indie Talk with Jesse and Jaron. And in a few short moments, we're going to bring on, we're going to host the Daughters of Legends show. But before that, we had a few announcements, do a little pre-show, and then we'll bring those two on. So I'll give it to Jesse right now.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Today is August 30th. We are about done with summer. So I guess the first announcement we are going to make is that starting in October, we are moving back to Wednesday nights. It just seems to work out better for me and Jaron. We'll still do our Friday night shows. So normally I'll go back to Wednesday and Friday nights. And then as far as holidays go, we'll let everyone know in advance if there's going to be a show or if there's not going to be a show. Like, for example, Christmas, we might take Christmas week off and not book anybody.
Yeah, we'll book Santa Claus on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Rudolph Christmas
on his
night.
sleigh live stream. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, but
There's
yeah,
going to be no indie talk for the month of December, just elves and Santa Claus.
Elves and Santa Claus. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we might skip December just because there's probably a lot of stuff going on for people during December, but we can always look into deciding that. So yeah.
We'll see how November goes and see how the December's falls in line. I mean, that'd be a month off without any indie talk.
Yeah, it could be a little bit, but given that that during that November, December, it'll be the 1 year anniversary of Indie Talk, which is really crazy.
So I suppose. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Started with an idea, and I think we're at 80 shows now. 80 shows later, we're 1 year in the 1 year anniversary. So yeah,
1 year we want to hit about 110 shows.
yeah.
That'll be our goal for a year. Well, yeah, we'll have to do something big. Maybe have a PD Brown come on and do a PD party for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. PD party, water. Yeah.
Maybe have him and JJ Rogue come on together.
Oh man, yeah. And you want to make the second announcement?
Yes, Wrestlers of the Week. This is the second time for her. I guess over the weekend she won 3 titles.
Yeah, 3 titles, and I believe it was Illinois and some other territory. So
I think she won a couple in Wisconsin too. So Leslie will be our Wrestler of the Week for the second time, and believe you have a Wrestler of the Week too.
Yeah, so the second Wrestler of the Week for this week is going to be Stacy Shadows. She does a lot of work in Wisconsin and in Brew City Wrestling. So yeah, Leslie La Muñeca and Stacy Shadows are the Wrestlers of the Week again and for the time this week. So
speaking of that, we've only had 3 wrestlers go for twice now. The System's been Wrestler of the Week twice, Paul Burke, and now Leslie. I'm thinking at the end of the year, the more of the Wrestlers of the Week that we get, we're gonna have to do a big spinning wheel and do process of elimination to see who will be Indie Talk's superstar of the year.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That will include JJ Rogue.
JJ Rowe.
Yeah, he's a manager though, so yeah, we're gonna have to disqualify him from that.
Disqualify him. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, we could definitely see according to a wheel who's the best wrestler of the week of all of our weeks in the future. I know we've done it for 5 weeks now or maybe more. So
I mean that's pretty big. I mean what started on as a joke with the system Paul Burke, it sounds like the system really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Paul
system enjoyed
not
it
so much. Paul not so much. Johnny, I didn't hear nothing from. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if Johnny even. I'm hoping Johnny saw it, but yeah, I didn't get any feedback from him. So
yeah, we can always resend it to him too.
Yeah.
Well, any word from Kelly yet?
Still no word from Kelly. No, Kelly. Yeah, she hasn't said anything. Angie's all set, but
We're gonna have to make a decision then. I guess if Kelly, I mean, I guess we can do the interview, and if Kelly wants to pop on, but it's just odd. I mean, we did advertise for 3. I mean, Francesca is understandable, but this is out of character for Kelly.
So fans. Yesterday, we got a message saying Francis wasn't able to do it, but then Kelly and Angie said they were set. Kelly hasn't said anything today and hasn't said anything now, so that just leaves us Angie. But I mean, I think we might go with Angie for now and then see what Kelly does.
Do you have Kelly on Instagram?
Not on Instagram, no, just Messenger.
Why don't you go ahead and messenger her and let her know that we are going to get started, and if she can possibly join us, then come on in.
Okay. Yeah, I've never looked up her Instagram before. But no,
everyone get your questions ready.
Get the questions in the comments, guys, for for Kelly and Angie. So they're the daughters of Adrian Adonis and Sergeant Slaughter. So Slaughter fish. I wonder if she's active on Instagram right now.
She's probably ghosting. Oh no, it's those Indie Talk guys.
Should we bring Angie on right now, or?
Yeah, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, we'll bring Angie on, and really hoping Kelly can join us. She was set last night, but where's the link?
I just heard it.
Nothing happened. Oh, that's Pete King just messaged or just commented. Says, "Hey, boys."
Come on, Pete. Get your questions ready for Adrian Adonis's daughter.
Okay. Just get a spam message, Kelly Slaughter.
Come on, Kelly. We'll give her a few more minutes there.
Yeah.
Let Angie get all unwind for a little bit.
Yeah.
No, We haven't had this happen in a while where people just didn't show up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little bit. Don't want to call out people, but yeah. Yeah.
I mean, only Bond. I had to do that one. Just kidding, Sterling. We know you're a busy guy. I'm not even going to pick on Crixus because he could probably break you right in two.
He's a strong dude, and he's got King Leonidas with them too. So, yeah.
But that Nick Nelson is a horse's ass.
Yeah, that is true.
Nick,
Quoted by Bill. Oh, she wants me to send it to her email. Let me do that quick.
Oh, Kelly?
Or Angie.
Send it to my email.
I don't know, people like their email.
Makes them feel important.
Yeah. All right, I think I sent it. Yeah. Sorry for the.
Sorry for the delay, guys.
Yeah. It's not. What's it? Oh, Pete's got some questions in the comments for them now. So.
All right, Pete.
Yeah. We'll get that answered once we get one or both of them on. But
yeah, I almost have that funny feeling that Kelly's going to be a no-show, but I could be wrong. I mean, I don't want to put that out there, but
yeah, no, she's nice from when I messaged her. So yeah. I don't know what else. Or let me look up her Instagram and see. Talk her on all social media.
We may have to just get Leslie on here tonight. Stacy Shadows.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I get this good old system on. We'll see what he's up to.
Well, he'll probably tell Angie, "Oh, you're afraid of me too."
Yeah.
I'm coming for you to hide.
Every. Always send a message. Shoot, computer is a lot different for sending messages on Instagram than other people. Oh, Angie's in the waiting room.
All right, but no Kelly.
No Kelly right now. Dang.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and do the show, and if Kelly shows up, great. If not, it's understandable. But we should let people know for right now. We just got Adrian Adonis's daughter coming on.
Yeah. All right. We'll bring on Angie.
Here's Kelly now.
Yeah. Oh no, that was Angie on Messenger.
All right.
All right, Ken. All right. You there, Angie?
Yes, but I don't see you guys.
Oh, hi, Angie.
Hey.
How are you?
There should be a setting on
there
the
we
bottom.
go. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
How are you?
Right.
Good.
Pretty good. Yeah. We're yeah, we were waiting on Kelly. She said she was all set yesterday, but hasn't said anything since the morning. So I'm not sure if Kelly will be on, and it might just have to be you, but which I was really hoping that wouldn't happen, but
well, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
And then Francis has an illness, so that's unfortunate, but yeah. Yeah, we might have to. We'll start and then see what goes, if she's able to come on later or message us towards the middle. So yeah. All right, but yeah, I'll do a reintroduction to just get fans on if they're just joining. So this,
Okay.
this is Indie Talk. There. This is Indie Talk with Jesse and Jaron, and we are presenting the Daughters of Legends show. Right now we got Angie Perides of Adrian Adonis's daughter. So, yep. I said that right?
No.
Is it not?
No,
What?
it's Perides, but that's okay.
Perides.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. I get it all the time.
Sorry. Yeah. I tried to took a while to remember Francis's last name and then yours and then Kelly. I mean Kelly was pretty easy, but yeah. I tried the I had a whole like intro ready and then two of them didn't show up. So kind of messed up I kind of had to take some parts out there, but yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
But yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll just do a good beginner question. So how is it I guess it's kind of P King's question as well, but talk about how it was like growing up with Adrian Adonis being your father and just wrestling in general.
So this was a really good question because he passed when I was 8 and my sister was 2. And so there was a lot of things that I was like, wasn't making sense on there. And then I heard a podcast with Fumi on there, and he's a Japanese sports writer. He came out to California and stayed with us for a few days, took some pictures, and it's in a Japanese sports magazine. My mom, myself, and my dad, they didn't let me watch wrestling. Now I knew what he did. I only went to one match. So they did not let me watch wrestling. And when he passed away, my mom would not talk about it. She wouldn't talk about it at all. So it wasn't until recently, probably about 3 years ago, my stepfather had passed, and I started looking into my dad and wrestling. So I really have no concept of wrestling, anything like that. But when we were younger, he was away a lot. He was wrestling. I knew he wrestled. I knew that, we didn't watch it, but I knew he wrestled. I just remember from the biker, the leather stuff, to pretty soon he has Christmas bows and his hair is bleach blonde fried, purple boxing shorts, pink boots, all of a sudden it was just like that. But I didn't really, it was just like a regular childhood, except our dad was gone all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that it was that young and you only going to one show. So, but yeah.
One show in Anaheim. So.
Okay. Do you have much memory of that, or is it pretty faint there?
We went to Disneyland, and I was about 5 or 6, and we went to the show, and Jimmy Hart came out asking my mom for lipstick for him to put on. And then he came back and he was like, he says it's not the right one. And my mom's like, I don't know what he expects. I don't know what he wants. But I just remember that and fans going nuts. And that was about, I always remember I thought I was really cool because I got to meet Cyndi Lauper. That was like the coolest thing ever in Lou Albano in the locker room area. But that was the coolest thing ever. But other than that, I was like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. From his time at home, do you have much memory of that at 8 years old?
Yeah, when he was at home, we would go do all kinds of things. Like I remember him taking me to the movies. He loved watching Three Stooges. We would go eat sushi. Then we would go just have barbecues. We'd have family over. But he would be home. I remember the 6 months. I remember he was home for a long time when he broke his ankle before he went to Japan, before he got in the accident. So he was home for a long time then. But he would go and buy us animals before he took off and left when he was working, and my mom would get rid of them. They'd be like huge iguanas that she'd be afraid of, and then he'd take off, or he'd buy rabbits and they would start breeding, had rabbits everywhere. My mom would be so mad because he'd buy all these things for us and then take off and go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's gotta be hard, but I mean, at least some kind of memory of is always good. But I mean, yeah, do you want to? Yeah, do you want to talk about the injury and him being
I
home so
just
much?
remember I know he left working for Vince after Vince reneged on a deal that was, he was supposed to have WrestleMania 4. He had 3.
Mhm.
Piper and Vince came to him. Piper was leaving. Vince said, hey, you give Piper WrestleMania 3, you can have 4. You get so much for shaving your head. You get a percentage of the gate fee. When it came time to collect, Vince said, now we're going to go another route. My dad said, F you. And Vince said, you wrestle anywhere, you're under contract. You wrestle anywhere for 6 months, you're still, so 6 months he didn't work.
Mhm.
Then he went and he was working with, I believe, Greg Gonja's dad's, is it AWA? See,
Yep.
that's how bad I am. He was working with him, broke his ankle, came home, then he trained. He started training with Bobby Davis and Tom Touchstone out of California. Tom's Touchstone was bodybuilder, went to Japan, came home, actually didn't even come home, flew into LA. My mom met him for that night, and then he flew out to Canada where he was with the Bear Man doing that as a favor for him to go do some wrestling. He was just going to wrestle in Japan a couple months out of the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. Jesse?
So who was your dad's best friend in wrestling?
So since I've been looking him up, I've spoke with Ken Patera, I've spoke with Bret Hart, spoke with Greg Gonja a little bit. So his friends, he was really close with Piper, Orton, Morocco, Fuji. There was a little click. I guess this little quick click was a little crazy. There's nothing like hearing if you went to, if you wanted marijuana, you went to the Sheik. If you wanted cocaine, you went to my dad. I hear that on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh, that's so crazy. And then I laughed, but so, and then Neihart, him and Neihart were really good friends, Brett said. But I don't think Neihart was involved of taking a rental car and placing it on the tracks and getting it stuck on the tracks in Fresno and
Right.
reporting it stolen. So yeah, so and that's who came. He was friends with Guerrero out of
Yeah.
LA. Yep, there's a lot of pictures of him and Guerrero. There's a lot of pictures of, this is when I was young. This would be when him and, oh my gosh, his tag team partner, they lived in Minnesota together. I was just about that they lived in Minnesota together. I don't think it was Ventura. It was Murdoch. No.
Trying to think who he. I know he teamed with Ventura, but
Right.
and you're right. There is another one, but
he teamed with Murdoch because but I can't think. My mom lived there. Him and Orton lived in Minnesota at the same time. But I think that's when him and Jesse started doing tag team. And then my mom, he was always on the road. So my mom moved back to Bakersfield. Her family was there.
Right.
And if my dad's traveling all the time, she's there with her sisters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's a favorite wrestling story that you have of your dad?
I don't even there's so many that are inappropriate.
Oh.
I do know that my grandmother told me, he wanted to be a wrestler, and he wrestled in high school, and he wanted to be a wrestler. And so she told him, you're not going to be a wrestler. They're not going to do anything with you. You got to lose weight. And so he went and he lost a lot of weight. He went and trained, and then he went with his trainer that he was a professional wrestler. Back then, they actually had to know how to wrestle, and they actually had to, I guess, be a little bit athletic before. And I say that because he was fit and he was in shape, but he could balloon up. And I know he's doing a lot of partying, but he can balloon up. That's, you know, I'm the same way. My son's the same way. You just gain weight very quick, but if you want to drop it, you can drop it. But he trained really, really hard, and his friends, which I've been in touch with a bunch of his high school friends, I should say, they were a little bit older than him, and he would go to the west side of Buffalo, which he did not live, and he hung out with them and into some trouble down there. But yeah, I don't really have a wrestling story per se, but I mean, I think it's really interesting that to go and do all the things that they did when it was first coming up and about, because he was in WrestleMania 1, he was in WrestleMania 2, he was in WrestleMania 3. He did territories down in Amarillo, he did it up in Portland. Just really just kind of all over. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. I was looking in the comments, guys. Yeah, guys, if you guys got any questions or comments, we got Angie right here. You got a few from Pete King had that question that we talked about, but yeah, if you guys got any questions, we got Angie right here. So yeah. What was Adrian Adonis's favorite food?
Oh, sushi. I mean, anytime and this was like in the 80s. This is, he's coming back from Japan, but and then spaghetti. I know my grandma in New York, I mean, that's what she would cook all the time. Really, really good cook. That's all I could. I mean, that's all wherever we went to. And then my mom's family's Basque, and so we would go to. I know that he would go to Chateau Basque, which is a big Basque restaurant, but it's now closed down in Bakersfield. But that's where, I mean, all the time if we went out to eat, that's where we were going, sushi or the Basque restaurant.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We got Pete King in the comments. He says, do you think your dad belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I do. I do. I think if him and Murdoch could take, Tony Atlas, and could take, oh my gosh, The
Rocky
Rock.
Johnson.
Thank you. See,
You're welcome.
Rocky Johnson's dad, for the belt, for the title. Then I think, yeah, I mean, I 100% believe that. I don't know if my mom will. I don't know if my mom has a grudge, but Vince is a piece of crap in our house. Like I don't know if my mom, if they ever offered it to him, I don't know if my mom would actually even say, okay. That's what my sister and I were talking about that. I know she has been in contact with Greg Ganja. They're talking about coming out with some sports figures like the dolls that they used to have going back, and he wants to do back in the 80s, the wrestlers there. So him and my mom have been talking about that.
Oh yeah. Oh, is it that one company they're making Vern Gagne and Texas or Wild Bill Irwin and stuff? Yeah, I
believe so. I believe so. My mom's talking with him about that because they had the ones for my dad with WWF, and then my mom we went to receive an award for my dad after he had passed, had the wrestling magazine about it, sees my dad's doll on the back, contacts Vince, and Vince tells her no, there was no doll made. So he's not a very well liked person in our house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got Ricky Snyder in the comments. He says, I watched a lot of matches involving your dad, one of his favorites. So So
Oh, see,
yeah.
and that's so crazy that he still has a lot of fans. Like there's a Facebook group that's there, and he has over 500 people in there that post things I've never seen before. Just post a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people that have things. It's just really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Jesse.
So has any of your dad's fans reached out to you to talk to you about his memories and stuff like that?
Yes, I've had a few. I've had oh my gosh, and I'm gonna I do family practice now, which I am in there
Mhm.
5 days a week, which I don't know what's worse, urgent care, family practice. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't want to say Buckland. Maybe it is. I'll have to look, but it's his little sister. I believe that she wrestled with him. So I have stories from, she has some stories. There's a female wrestler, Velvet. I have stories from her. They it's really interesting. I had there was some stories that I did an interview with Hannibal, I think 2-3 years ago. And there were a lot of people that had stories like, hey, when I was a kid, his mom lost her wallet when they were wrestling, and my dad gave him money, broke character and gave him money for their cab to go home. Sometimes, he could be real, I guess I should smart ass, but other time, they want to say he's really, it's really not, was really sweet. But yeah, there's been stories, and there's been some other weird people too that they don't want things. And I was like, wow, okay, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wrestling fans are the best, but also can be
Well,
pretty.
I don't even know when I was like, oh my gosh. But I would say Facebook's been really interesting. At the time of the accident, when he was there at the accident, there was another wrestler that it was his tour. It was the Wild Man's tour, Dave McKigley. And his son was 8 years old as well as I was. Well, he didn't have a mother. And so I just remember feeling so bad for him. And I had we have been in touch on Facebook. So that's been really, really interesting. Very interesting to see.
Yeah. Facebook is definitely cool in how we connect, but then like you said, there are definitely weird people out there.
Oh, there is, and those
especially-
are the ones that if you have time, you can have fun with. But
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that I know there's a one independent wrestler in Minnesota. He was getting some weird messages about saying that this wrestler should use the low blow as the finisher, and he kept going on for like lines and lines. I'm like, why are you, is it like a low blow fetish or something? I'm like, yeah.
oh wow,
Yeah, I'm
Who
like,
was that, Darren?
yeah.
it was Rampage Santana.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why doesn't
Like,
that surprise me?
yeah, so yeah, that's weird stuff. So yeah. I know you said you haven't been really involved with wrestling, but have you ever gone to like an independent wrestling show, or
No, I have not.
you've not? Okay.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
No, I think the only wrestling show I'd probably go to is if my son was wrestling on here. He's 12 and he's wanting to. He's a big boy. He's 5'3", 135, playing football and baseball right now. I know he's going to be bigger than he's going to be taller than I am, and I'm 5'10". I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be little.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They look a lot alike, which is so, and they act a lot alike. I get phone calls from the school daily.
Wow.
Oh, I do. I had to tell them last year, really, I'm in between patients. I can't really talk to you right now. So if it's something serious, okay. Other than that, like, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. So yeah, we were phone calls. Yes.
She is. Yeah, wow. Jesse.
So what was your dad's time in the AWA like?
I don't really know. And I know that's horrible to say. I don't have answers. I mean, I really don't. I don't really have answers. Like I said, that'd be a better question for my mom, but my mom really doesn't, she kind of talks to Greg, but that's about it. I know that Dark Side of the Ring has reached out, so that'll be interesting, especially since, they were robbed during the wreck, and maybe some of them could have been, here today if the people who didn't rob them had, turned them over instead of just letting them in the water. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a book, oh my gosh, Drawing Heat, that has pretty much the full story in the back. And it was actually, I didn't see my dad with the weight loss, with all the weight he dropped. And I saw that, and I saw there's pictures in the back with him and Steve Oceans in a beer drinking competition. And there's a little story about Steve got in trouble, had to be, he was made to stay in the captain's quarters or something. He was not quarantined, but he had to stay there. He was put under arrest because he was being unruly on this ferry that they had to take for 24 hours to get to where they were going. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. It's pretty wild, especially for the 80s. I was like, they're lucky they didn't have social media.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've one show we talked to Eddie Sharkey, the trainer of champions, and he said he had to deal with a lot of crazy people and has a ton of crazy stories about just everything that's happened in the 70s, 80s, and he ran his own promotion and protecting the wrestlers and everything. So
my mom said they used to they had to get an escort one time. They threw busted the window, would throw eggs at their car, would just go nuts. And I remember we were in Fresno at the hotel. I didn't go. We would meet them in Fresno a lot, or LA a lot, but we didn't go to the shows. But I could pick something out of the gift shop, and I just remember looking at something, and all of a sudden, the guy had to shut it. He shut it down. He wouldn't let anybody else come in there. It was my dad and I in there because all these people just came flooding in there. And I remember it being really, really scary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely got to be pretty scary. And this mad group of people. So.
Group of people. Then I remember my dad walking me to the bus stop one time, and these people are yelling that he's you fag, and yelling at him. And I'm like, what, that's crazy. That's why are they yelling that at you?
I think I remember. I was doing a little research and kind of saw or heard some derogatory terms towards Adrian, and especially his gimmick and everything. So
can you imagine that gimmick right now?
No.
No, can you imagine if you go back and you look at some of the clips that him and Dick Murdoch did? There's one where he goes to Texas to visit Dick, and Dick goes to New York to visit him. See if those two would fly on there. Or when they're talking to Chief Strongbow, they tell him get to the back of the bus. That's where that stuff would not fly. At all. And I just laughed because I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. That definitely would be interesting. I don't know. Now the world's just changed so much, and now just bringing up the LGBTQ communities. It's insane how big it's grown, and this a lot more accepting. And I know there's people.
Right. See, and I remember when I was little, so I would listen, my kids have no concept of this. If you shut your mouth, you could hear an adult talking, you could hear a whole lot of stuff. My kids have no concept of that. But I remember laying, I was laying we had a den area, and I was laying there and I was listening to my mom and dad talk. And my dad they were talking about a banana and Vince getting PO'd. And I was like, what about a banana? I finally popped off, and my dad's like, I hired a singing telegram for him, and he jumped on his desk and he was mad. And I was like, okay. And I just remember kind of laughing. Then I see this clip of my dad doing an interview for some breakfast segment with Pat Patterson, where he's deep throating a banana. And I was like, is that what they were talking about? And so I asked my mom, and she's like, no, he really hired a singing telegram for Vince's birthday to jump on his desk, and he was dressed up as a banana. I was like, oh, he did? He's like, yeah. I said, I thought it was code. You guys didn't want to like know about what it is. I see this later and I send it to her. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I can't. She just shakes her head, but yeah.
Mhm. Oh man, wow. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean,
Right.
you can only assume, like, I mean, kids, I mean, you don't know what to think when they're saying
That you
it's what
don't.
it
I'm
sounds
like,
like.
I wonder, and then I saw that one
Yeah.
and I go, oh, I wonder if that, yeah. And then I asked my mom and she's like, and then I'll ask her about some things, probably Heenan wrote a book about my, they would take pictures of each other in the nude and take them because, back in the day, we used to have to take the film to a place to have it developed
Mhm.
and then go pick it up. And so he would call and ask, hey, I just want to make sure some of my, bar mitzvah pictures were okay. He would call down there and then the people would be like, oh my gosh, because there's gonna tell you all over. But I was like, Mom, she's like, oh, be quiet. It was the 70s and 80s. We did what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. P King says, how did your dad come up with this gimmick?
So my dad has a friend called Joey Gaynor, and he's a comedian out by LA. And he went to a match and he was yelling at him, the derogatory term. And this is before he had that gimmick. And so later on that night, he's like, hey, he goes, he met him or whatever. And he goes, hey, I was just yelling that. And he goes, you know what? That's a good gimmick. So he went to Vince with the gimmick. Everybody wants to say, oh, it was punishment. No, he went to Vince with the gimmick because he made money off the gimmick, because the more people hated him, the more money that he was paid on there. So he embraced that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it wasn't he came up with that on his own.
Oh, wow. Oh, there you go.
And then the biker gimmick, that's kind of crazy because he was in the Kingsman biker gang out of Buffalo.
Oh, he was in a okay.
He was in a biker gang. He was in the Kingsman out of Buffalo. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's really cool. Huh. Biker gang, Adrian Adonis, huh? Not outside and inside the ring. So
he said what?
Or biker gang Adonis, inside and outside the ring.
Yeah, just about. Like there's his friend had wrote some stories. Oh gosh, there were things that they had there was a riot they incited one night. Well, they incited one night that my dad didn't have his ID to go across the border to Canada because it was right over there in Niagara. And so they dropped him off and made him walk home. And they had that on it. Are you grilling? Are you grilling? Bye. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
You're good.
So yeah, they would he'd like to get in. Well, he didn't go looking for fights, but if it was somebody who was the underdog or there was, somebody being picked on, he would be in there ready to fight. So yeah, that sounds familiar with my 12-year-old as well. Yeah, we get a lot of phone calls for that.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's better to not start fights, but I mean, if you got to be in one, then that might be the best way to do it. So
right. So it's if somebody's being teased or somebody's being picked on, and then that's
right. Yeah. Jesse.
So how did the flower shop get started?
That I don't know, but I do know that they had real flowers, and I remember watching that later. And then I remember going, there's a lot of innuendos that I didn't pick up until rewatching it later, and I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I don't know how it went from Piper's. I mean, I guess that was part of the buildup for him to take WrestleMania 3, and then. But yeah, went from that to, after after, WrestleMania 4, it was, well, going up to it, then it was like, well,
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I've heard a rumor that Mr. Bruce on there was a relative of Vince's. If I'm not, that's what I heard on there, that Mr. Bruce was not playing a part, like that was really Mr. Bruce, how he was. And I was like, oh, well, that was kind of interesting as well. Cause you go back and you watch it and I'm like, would not fly today.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, all this Vince McMahon talk, what do you think about him retiring at the age of 77?
Maybe you should have done it a while ago. I don't know.
I mean, maybe might have.
Maybe they
Yeah.
should look into, some things that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Heard some things, but I just know that what he did towards my father, and I have no use for him. My grandmother, who never said anything bad, said always said there's a special place in hell for people like Vince McMahon, and I've never heard her say anything bad about anybody. So there's a lot, no phone call, no card. When my father passed, refused to let the other wrestlers off to go. So like Morocco had to work. He was just a real, there's a lot of, not
He
a
was
nice.
real peach.
Yes.
Real peach.
Yes, that is a very nice term to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, in terms of what he's done for wrestling, it's good, but like outside and personal stuff.
Well, it depends on, did he destroy it by buying up all the TV slots and consolidating it all together, or should have been kept, individual territories and built that way? I guess it kind of depends on how you look at it.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, in terms of like what he did to Adonis and this, I mean, so many wrestlers.
I've heard some other people. Yeah, I've heard some other people's stories, and there's a reason why a lot of people. I would think there's a reason why a lot of people would leave and come back, leave and come back. I mean, if it wasn't, I guess for Jesse, that when he went in and said, what about my royalties? I mean, that's how he tried to, cheat everybody out of royalties. When he's paying, that's when he messed up. He was paying, Lawfer, he was paying all these other people. And Jesse's like, wait a minute, I get my Hollywood money, I'm going to get my royalties, which I laugh so hard because what is it? My dad, they didn't send anything. And then about 15 years ago, they sent my mom a check for $50. Hadn't said anything all this time. Yeah. So I laugh. I was like, okay, that's, he's been gone 20 some years at this time, but okay. So yeah, there's, I don't think he's, I think things happen to people for a reason. So.
Yeah. $50 after him being gone for so long.
Well, $50, and then, lied to my mom about that. And he's just, there's no use for him. I mean, just he is what he is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. On Facebook, P King says, who was his favorite wrestler to get in the ring with?
I don't know. I do know that Brett was telling me that, if you went in the ring with him, you weren't going to get hurt, because he would make sure that, you weren't going to get hurt, because you don't want your opponent to be hurt. But then I've seen other things like the Dan Spivey deal, he was kind of doing some things. So I don't know what he was like in there, but I also don't know who his favorite in the ring with. Like I said, I was 8 on there. And so I mean, I really don't have any, and I really don't know about wrestling very much. I know it's, I mean, when I was younger, I hated it. I hated anything about it. I hated after the accident. I did. absolutely, I remember though when
Yeah.
he was still alive, I had one kid tell me, wrestling's fake. And I was like, no, it's not. And I got into an argument with him. And my dad's like, yes, it is. I was like, no, it's not. I mean, I thought they were, they were really real. They were really there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesse?
So, was your dad a big fan of Hulk Hogan or not really?
They were friends. They started out in Japan together. And so they were friends. But then when he passed, not a card, not a call, not anything to my mom. So, when he sits there and wants to say, oh, brother, da, 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 no, where were you? Where was your phone call? Like, don't even, like,
Yeah.
there was a pot. I have pictures of him in Hogan in Japan together with Andre and all these people. Cash out. Anybody want a child?
Oh man.
Oh, my little angel, my little gift from God. That's what I call him. Test me every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they started out together back there, so they were friends in a sense that. So when he didn't, he went to his wedding when he was married. When then not even a phone call or not even a card or anything. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's always like, that's happened like with so many wrestlers. Like they don't call the families or anything, and it's just like, I mean, Hulk Hogan has to know you guys for sure. I mean,
he knows what he did, but he was so far at Vince's.
Oh yeah.
Side.
That's what they call those Temple boys, right up. He moved. It was like, oh, got to be right there. So that was kind of an ongoing. I remember that was an ongoing kind of conversation with my mom and my aunts after my dad had passed. Like, really, like, wow.
Yeah. It's
But I mean,
definitely.
like, Bret Hart kept in touch. Piper kept in touch. There was some other wrestlers too that would call my mom and see how she was doing.
Yeah. It's good that Brett and Piper did that. So
Yeah.
Has any of his older friends like stopped by the house, or like you guys hung out? Or just
My mom remarried when I was 11, and we moved from California, Southern California to Northern, and then they were in ranching, so it was almost like they flipped ranches. So Nevada, Arizona, I kind of all over. So it wasn't until I started kind of looking that like his friends from New York, growing up friends is what I call them. I kind of came into contact with them, and it was kind of crazy because I saw a picture of my dad and another guy who I had talked to, it's like, guy probably passed away about 8 years ago. I talked to him about a couple months, and he goes, I was really good friends with your dad, because I found these pictures of my dad on Facebook, and I was like, I've never seen these. These are of him younger, like way younger. And so there's this guy, and I was like, can you tell me about this picture? And he goes, yeah, what's it to you? They're my friend Keith and my friend Richard. And both of them have passed, and they're visiting me up in Attica. And my dad and this guy just look, my dad looks huge compared to this itty bitty guy. And he goes, yeah, they're my friend. And I was like, oh, well, that's my dad. And he's like giving me this quiz, like, who was your mom? What's your mom's name? Where in California are you from? And so I'm like answering him, and he's like, okay, cool. He's like, could I call you? I was like, yeah. Then I hear rumors like he had a mobbish background, my dad. So I asked him, I was like, did he do anything? Like, he said, yeah, he collected for my dad. I go, oh. He's like, yeah, it was like 75, 76. These guys owed 15,000, and we went and took their TVs, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so the things that I learned.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Sounds like a great time right there. So
right. I was like, oh, okay. So that's
yeah. Yeah. What do you do personally as nowadays?
Oh, what do I do? So I was an ER nurse, and I went back to school about 7 years ago. So I'm a nurse practitioner. And I wanted to work in the ER. I thought, I love the ER. I have a love-hate relationship. So in Oklahoma, because I lived in Oklahoma at the time, you had to be dual degreed. So I did a dual program where I did family, and then I did adult gerontological acute care. And then I did a subspecialty in cardiology. So I worked during COVID, and I worked during COVID at urgent care, and I was seeing 60 to 155 patients a day. And I was like, I would shut it down at 70. I mean, we'd have 70 patients at 11 a.m. I'd shut it down. I was like, I can't, I'm the only provider here. Like, that's it. That's all that it was. So that's how I became kind of Facebook friends with Jesse. And he has a wrestling game. It's not, I don't want to say game.
Game.
You're mad. Okay. And
Wrestling.
yes, and Jesse would harass this poor guy in his group, and I was like, you shouldn't do that, Jesse. That's horrible. And that's how
I remember.
you were bad. And so and then I was like, okay, I'm done. It was like 2 years in urgent care, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to go back to family practice. So I'm doing family practice right now, and I'm going, maybe I want to go back to urgent care. I don't know what I want to do yet, but yeah, I'm a nurse practitioner right now. So, and then my sister, she was teaching second grade, went back and did her counseling and education, but she has, and I have an 8-year-old niece, and then I have nieces that are 4 years old, twins. So she stays at home with them right now. I couldn't do it. Bless her heart. Those twins are wild.
Oh man. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we both, did not go that route. She's like, I don't know anything about wrestling. And she talked to Greg, and she goes, I didn't even know really who he was. She goes, Jordan, that's her husband. She goes, Jordan was like, do you not know who that is? She's like, no, who is he? I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
What is he, like, important? I don't know.
Well, that's what she was like, I don't know. And then Jordan was like, oh my gosh, what I would like to see my dad get into is the Cauliflower Alley Club. They have and every September they do a that I think would be more prestigious than the whole thing. Because some of the people I saw in the Hall of Fame, I'm like, I don't even, some guy with a parakeet or something, I don't know. I don't know his wrestling. I don't know his moves on there. Jesse, don't laugh. However, I'm like, he's in the Hall of Fame and Dad's not in the Hall. I don't know. That's just.
Whoa. Back up the train. Are you talking about Coco Beware?
Maybe. He has a parakeet or something.
That's yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Yes. And so that's why I was like, what? Wait a minute. Hold up. So yes.
Yeah, Coco. Yeah, it's got to be Coco Beware.
No, your dad deserves to be in that Hall of Fame.
Thank you. See? Okay, see, that's, I don't know. He has a little parakeet or something. I don't know. See, I don't really pay.
Yeah, I looked up parakeet wrestler. I somehow got Coco Beware, of course, but then I got Triple H with the parakeet, which that doesn't make sense either.
Maybe he was being facetious towards the other one.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Little sarcasm.
Yeah. Jesse.
So I got one more question, then we'll let you go for the night. So if there was anything you could say to your dad's fans that you would like for them to remember your dad, what would those words be?
I would like to say thank you, first of all, because I think it's just, he's been gone for so long and he still has this huge fan base to me. I'm just like, oh, wow. Thank you for, still being a fan. Thank you for, looking into it and saying like, oh, hey, that he, even though he did get very big, I mean, where the majority of the people saw him last wrestle, I mean, they can still see like, hey, he can move really. I mean, he's pretty fast. I mean, especially for a big guy, that it's not just the gimmick, that they're actually looking at wrestling.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
And there is a petition thing, because I mean, that would be really nice for him to be in the Hall of Fame. Don't know if my mom would allow it, but there was a petition going around for on there for them to look at that on there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully
Yeah.
Do you think he should be in like any Hall of Fame, or if there's like a sticky
I
wrestling
do. I do. I think, him and Murdoch should be in a tag team, for their tag team accomplishments. I think that he, should be, look at WrestleMania 3. How many fans were there? That place was packed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, if without, if he wasn't there, where is there a Brutus the Beefcake Barber? I mean, I think that sets precedence for a lot of some other people that are, that have been up and coming on there. I mean, would you have, I mean, I'm not saying there, without him, there wouldn't be, if he wasn't there, there wouldn't be, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that he was a strong part of the start of all of the people, all the wrestlers in the beginning. Like you have Piper, you have Piper, you have Mr. Fuji, you have Hogan, you have Andre, you have, I mean, there's all, Junkyard, you have all these people, Sergeant Slot, I mean, you have all these people. They were there in the beginning. And I don't think if you didn't have these people in the beginning, it wouldn't be as structured or a stepping stone for the people of today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I just got a message or a comment from Pete King about the Hall of Fame stuff. He says he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame now that Triple H is in charge, and maybe that'll happen.
Maybe it will. I listened to Howard, or maybe it was my husband. He was driving through Vegas and picked up a Howard Stern show, and it was Triple H on there saying that my dad was one of his, one of his favorites on there that he heard. So maybe.
Yeah. I mean, does your mom have much for a relationship with Triple H or anything, or?
No, she doesn't talk to anybody. I'm so sorry.
Jen, shut up.
He's trying to get Siri to do his homework for him.
Oh, no.
And I hear him, I just close my eyes. I was like, no. I'm so sorry.
No,
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, he heard that going through on there with Triple H. I mean, he might on there. I mean, I think there was a grudge on there. I mean, I don't think anybody had really told Vince, to F off in the way that my dad did before. And then I know that they kept they enforced the dress code. So then my dad would go be as smart, because my dad's like, I don't care, I'm gonna wear sweatpants. I'm gonna be comfortable if I'm traveling, this month. No, you gotta enforce the dress code. So then he went to Big and Tall and made a mockery of it and would buy flamboyant Hawaiian shirts, and they couldn't do anything with it because it was with the dress code. So it was always just kind of push, push, push. Kind of like this one here. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Yeah. It seems like the last comment on there, and but yeah, it was definitely awesome to talk to you about Adrian Adonis.
Thank you, even though I don't really know much about wrestling, but thank you. And be nice to the people on your game, Jesse.
I'll try.
Your game.
That guy was so mad. That was funny. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing the other girls on there when you guys have them.
Well, we're definitely gonna get you back. We're definitely gonna get you on when we get everything.
Well, yeah, no, that's great. That's great. But I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. Live is ending, guys.